Hello, I'm Cindy from Angulo, and I am the creator of the FX Boom Fitness System, the three-dimensional strength rig, and then also the Traxx trainer. So I often get asked, what made you design this Traxx trainer? Now, I'm not a Pilates instructor. I love Pilates. I've taken some Pilates, and I think it's awesome. I've studied bits and pieces about Pilates. But the Traxx trainer, I had a client who was about 80 years old who could not lunge. I mean, and he kind of shuffled. So I wanted him to be able to take a step and lunge, but it was scary. And so one thing I've taught in exercise science is instead of putting weight onto the leg, take weight off of it, which is great. So then he would lunge back and he'd put all his weight back. And I'm like, shoot, that's not working. So then you put slippery things. You get a glider disc or something like that, and you put it under his leg. So now that's going to be good. But the problem is he didn't have the strength to come up. I'm like, all right, so then I got an ab dolly and I attached it to a wall with a band. So now the ab dolly is attached to the wall. So as he pushes back, he's pushing against the resistance. And then as he comes up, the band helps him come up until he gets his strength developed and we can lessen the band and work from there. Worked great. He loved it, but the challenge is the wheels of the dolly were going every which way. So I'm like, so I need a dolly that has legs that go straight or wheels that go straight. So I'm like, I wish I had a dolly on a track. So knowing also that the ab dolly is one of the exercises over the years that I love, but I've also seen more people get injured because they are not ready for it. They go too far, they overcommit, and they don't hold their core tight. And it just takes one time to just make things mad in your back that makes you not want to just go try it again. So I also found that with my flexion extension methodology or findings with the belt, that when extension people do planks, they tend to use the hip flexors, but I found if they extend their arms or get long or put their feet on a wall, the hip flexors cannot kick in too much that the abs will, so they tend to feel more when their feet are up versus on the ground, and flexion intolerant people tend to feel more when their toes are dug onto the ground and the posterior pelvic tilt. So I also found that, okay, so if I don't have a wall, because some people's feet would slide down, that when I put them on a dolly and I added resistance where they pushed out against it, so the band's coming from between their legs and they're rolling out, that they felt their abs, and it was just better. It prevented them from diving into the hip flexors, the lower back. It allowed them to get their abs stronger to the point where now they don't even need the dolly. And then the flexion intolerant, me, remember I like pushing down. Well, I liked the dolly being pulled away from me. So I would be on the dolly pulling it towards me and I would feel my abs more. And I noticed that when I was kind of saying the two body types, flexion people like to pull, extension people like to push, I noticed that to be very prevalent. So then when I developed the Traxx trainer, I made it where the two dollies can be pulled together or pushed apart or any combination of. And so this was a great tool for abs for both the body types. And on top of that, that guy who couldn't lunge can lunge and come up, and I can lessen the weight or add more resistance. The thing I didn't realize as much is that, when I stand and do adduction, you squeeze a ball between your legs when you're straight to really work your pelvic floor, or maybe with the silk standing on it and bringing your legs out and in, and from a standing position. The pelvic floor gets worked when I put those dollies apart and you have to work squeezing them together. You feel the pelvic floor. And also when you're doing a lunge, and I had a gait specialist, a therapist who teaches gait for people that need to walk again, that she says one of the key gait patterns is bringing your legs together. So if these are set up where the resistance is pulling it out and you have to squeeze it together, I would do exercises like that again, pelvic floor. If somebody has an uneven hip, it's noticeable. They like one side and they don't like the other, but it will help even that hip out. So that's become a corrective tool. And it also teaches ground reaction force. I know growing up that they always said spread the ground when you squat, and people are looking at it and they're like buckling in. Spread the ground is where you grab it and you like literally try and push the ground apart. Well, I can stand on this and spread the ground and understand how that feels. So it gives me a body awareness factor that I might not be able to get just from visual and verbal cues alone. So this has been a great tool. And so that's why the Traxx trainer got born, and I created the simple workout so I can start it off easy. But then obviously you can expand. You can be holding your legs together while doing weights. You can do it in the rig. You can do it at home. And kids love it too. And if you're an older person, I made it where that if you get overcommitted, the bands in the middle grab and start pulling it together, so there's no way to get too far for what you're ready for. So awesome tool, but I wanted to share what created that, and my husband made it where it's portable and you can fit it in your car and you can carry it with one hand, and it's very affordable. So that's my Traxx trainer, and it's awesome, and I'd love to share more with everyone. And it can be used like a Pilates reformer, but there's two moving parts, not just one, and the way the resistance is a little different. And again, you can travel with it. So if you want to take it with you on a trip, and it's a lot of fun, to sit there and work on lateral training, because that's a big one that we're missing in that plane where we move sideways. We tend not to do that very often. So we start cheating and rotating, and well, that trains that plane very well. So pickleballers, athletes, and all that, great exercise, great warm-up even. All right, my name's Cindy. Thank you very much for listening.